Hey, good afternoon, everybody. It is Wednesday, May the 18th, 2022. Yesterday, we're in Northern California right now. We've come here to help a family with some things, and so yesterday we tried to live stream. We were in kind of the LA area, and we had great download internet for the live stream, but our upload was really bad. And so, as you can see, we found a park. We had great download, but the upload, it looked like it might work, but then it just froze. So sorry that there was no Daily Manna yesterday. We are recording this, pre-recording this today, and then and there's some things going on, some mowing in the neighborhood. Hopefully, that's not too big of an issue here. We'll have the live it's still a live stream for everyone, for all of you. So it's live, and your chat is live. You can chat with one another. But the recording isn't live because I'm recording. Anyway, but we're going to continue, this morning this afternoon in Isaiah chapter 6. And we read in Isaiah chapter 6, verse 1, on Monday. In the year of King Uzziah's death, I saw the Lord sitting on a throne, high and lifted up, and the train of his robe filled the temple. Seraphim were standing above him. Each had 6 wings. With 2 he covered his face, and with 2 he covered his feet, and with 2 he flew. One called out to another and said, Holy, 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 Kadosh, 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 is Adonai Tsevaot. The whole earth is full of his glory. Then the posts of the door trembled at the voice of those who called, and the house was filled with smoke. Then I said, Oy to me, for I am ruined, for I am silenced. I have come to my end. For I am a man of defiled lips, of unclean lips, and I am dwelling among a people of unclean lips. Here he is, and he sees the holiness of God, which is unlike anything else. And he says, and so now he says, he recognizes who he is. He's been saying, woe to you, but now in recognition of who the Lord is, he sees himself and he says, I'm not as much like you as I am like them. He says, Oy to me, woe to me, I am silenced, for my lips are defiled like the people around me. I'm among a people of defiled lips. For my eyes have seen the King, Adonai Tsevaot. Then one of the seraphim flew to me with a glowing coal in his hand, which he had taken with tongs from the altar. He touched my mouth with it and said, Behold, this has touched your lips. Your iniquity is taken away and your sins atoned for. So this was the acknowledgement of my condition, the utter helplessness of who I am before a holy God. All I could do in that moment was acknowledge but there's a genuine confession of my condition. Then the Lord of his own initiative, right, sends one of these fiery ones, one of these seraphim, to take a coal from the altar and to deal with what is defiled in me. And if he can do that in me, he can do it in them. And he says, your sin is atoned for. And so then I heard the voice of the Lord saying, and again, here in our text it says Adonai, all caps, as though it's the name of God, Yod He Vav He, but in the text itself it uses the word Adonai, which means Lord or Master. And it says, then I heard the voice of the Lord saying, whom should I send and who will go for us? So I said, look at me, here I am, send me. And so usually when you hear a sermon on Isaiah 6, this is where it ends. It ends here at verse 8. This is where you go, this is, who will go for me? Here am I, send me, come on down, and this is where this is a great point to stop the sermon. I think this is the happy point. This is where most of us would like it to stop. But the rest of the message is the content of the call. Isaiah's commission is, I've entitled today's Daily Manna an uninspiring pep talk, because the next section initially it's a little bit uninspiring, The Lord's inviting Isaiah to do what the Lord himself has been doing. The Lord is calling Isaiah now to go forth and declare this message, declare this word to the people of Israel. So here's the content of the message. Then verse 9, then he said, by the way, as you noticed, we don't have the text on the screen today, so if you need to pause and grab your Bibles, you'll need your Bibles in hand for this. Verse 9 says, then he said, go and tell this people. It says, go forth and tell this people. It says, hear without understanding and see without perceiving. It uses this double, it says shamu shamoa, like shema shema. It says listen to listen, hear to hear, but with no understanding, without getting it. Hear to hear, but with no discernment. And see in order to see. It's hear a hearing and see a seeing, but don't perceive it. Don't get what you're seeing. So as Isaiah is preaching this, the people, the Lord is telling Isaiah, you're about to experience what I've experienced. I'm calling you to go forth with my word. And God himself, he invites in Isaiah's got to walk through the process of preaching the message and to deal with the condition of the people where they're at. This is the people themselves are there. So he's going to bring forth the very words of God, and they're going to hear it. They're not going to get it, and they're going to see it, but they're not going to see. They're going to see, but they're not going to see. They're going to know what to see. And in verse 10, this is the hard part, particularly of the message, where he says, "And make the heart of this people fat." You kill a fly. Nope. All right. But I'm glad the fly was flying around the phone, and now it's gone, so that's good. He says, "Make the heart of this people fat, their ears heavy, and their eyes blind." So make the heart of this people fat, their ears heavy, their eyes pasted together. Otherwise, they would see with their eyes, lest they see with their eyes and hear with their ears and understand and get it in their heart and return and be healed. So the question is, why in the world, the Lord says, preach the message, and you're going to keep preaching, and it's going to make their ears heavy. It's going to make it's going to make the people fat. Their ears heavy, their eyes pasted together. Well, otherwise, they might actually understand with their heart. They might hear with their ears and return and be healed. Isn't that God's desire for them to be healed? Why is this expressed in this way? Why does the Lord express this in such way? I mean, what's the process going to look like? As Isaiah is going to bring forth the word of the Lord, what is it going to take for people to actually respond to God's word? What is it going to take for people to actually hear what he says and do what he says? What's that going to take? Why suddenly, when Isaiah begins to preach the message, are they going to soften and respond? The Lord says they're not going to. So why are you calling him to do this? If they're not going to actually listen, why are you calling them to do it? Why are you calling him to do it? Why don't you just cut right to it? Right? But because the Lord, in the integrity of who he is not going to hold us responsible for something he hasn't revealed to us. And beyond that, he's already revealed it. But the Lord is gracious and he is slow to anger. So in his kindness, he's going to give the message again. He's going to give the message again and again and again. He's going to give extended time to respond. But he knows. He knows, he recognizes that for the vast majority of this people, for the vast majority, that it's not until there is pain and devastation that's experienced that they'll actually get it. If Isaiah lessens the message, if he comes if he softens the message of the Lord, well, the people may respond to that, but it won't be the word of the Lord. And it won't produce in them what God wants to produce in them, what he's always been wanting to see in them. Right? So the present generation, the generation that Isaiah is going to be preaching to, and really the generations until the exile happens, there may be a remnant, a few that will listen, that will soften their hearts, but in large part, this people will do what the generations have been doing up to this point. They'll be in their, there's an arrogance that it's usually tied to our own sense of ignorance. Like you think of youthful arrogance. Think of things in your life that, there's this youthful arrogance that things that I learned that even if someone had told me, I could have thought that I would understand, but until I experienced some sort of difficulty, some sort of pain, usually that's what brought a level of awakening, unfortunately. Why do I have to be so thick-headed sometimes? And there are certain things that until we experience pain, we don't get. That we think we know, and our arrogance blinds us. So we don't actually hear what the Lord is saying. We think we've got it down. And the Lord has experienced. The Exodus generation, here they saw all that the Lord had done with an outstretched arm, with a mighty hand. They heard the things the Lord had said. And yet they just didn't get it. They didn't get what he was calling them to. They didn't get what their calling was, to be this picture, a reflection of God's character that the nations would come streaming to see what God always intended for us. They didn't get it. He said, so now Isaiah, you're going to preach this, and they're not going to get it. But you're still going to preach it. You're still going to preach it. Because because even if maybe this generation won't get it, maybe the generations leading up, they won't get it. But you're going to record this. You're going to write this down. And the generations that follow this generation, and the generations that follow the exile, will look and see what the Lord had been saying all along, and maybe they'll get it. This is a hope for the future. Your calling, you may not experience the fruitfulness in the present moment. You may feel like as you walk out God's calling in your life, Isaiah, that it's entirely fruitless. You may never see the fruit. And yet understand that as you walk in faithfulness, as you declare my message, that there will be fruitfulness beyond what you can see. And Isaiah here, verse 11, he says, then I said, O Lord, and he uses again the word Adonai, he doesn't use the name of God. Lord, how long? Until when, Lord? Right? And he's like, because he's gotten this uninspiring pep talk of how long is this going to last? What's it going to take? Lord says, let me tell you what it's going to take. Let me tell you how long. Now when Isaiah says how long, Lord, he's, maybe he's wondering if is there a time frame? Maybe he's looking for information, but he gets an answer that's not necessarily comforting. The Lord answers and said, he answered, until cities are laid waste and without inhabitant, till houses are without people, without humans, without Adam, and the land is utterly desolate. Adonai, verse 12, Adonai will drive people far away. The desertion of the land will be vast. right? It's going to take everything getting stripped away down to its bare bones for people to finally go, oh, it's going to take pain. That's our arrogance. Arrogance is so destructive. Pride is so destructive. Self-exaltation is so destructive. So blinding, so deafening that it blocks us from hearing. Pride of heart is in such opposition to the character of God that it blocks us from hearing what he's actually saying, from recognizing what he's actually calling us to. Right? God is close to those who are humble in heart, but he resists the proud. There's a resisting that happens, and so he says everything has to be devastated for people to begin to wake up. The land was not theirs to possess. It wasn't their own. God had entrusted it to them. And as long as they remained faithful to God's purposes of demonstrating his character, right? He planted this vine there to bear his fruit. He planted, the goal is that all the nations of the earth will come streaming to it. He said to Abraham, through you, all the families of the earth will be blessed. That's your purpose, to demonstrate my character, to let me form in you my ways, so that the world will follow in my ways, that people will become who they were intended to be. I've put you there with purpose. And if in putting you there, you're not actually going to fulfill my purpose, but you're going to do the same thing that those that I cleared out before you, you're going to do it again, then that's you're then I'm good. You're out. Now he doesn't uproot his people though, right? But he says in Leviticus 18, verse 24 says, "Don't defile yourselves in any of these things, for in all of these ways the nations which I'm casting out before you, they were defiled." Right? The ones that have gone out, they were defiled by these things. And the land has become defiled, verse 25. "So I will punish its iniquity, and the land will vomit out its inhabitants. You, however, are to keep my statutes and my ordinances, and do none of these abominations, neither the native born nor the outsider dwelling among you. For all these abominations were done by the men of the land who were before you, and the land became defiled. If you defile it, the land will vomit you out as it vomited out the nation that was before you." Right? The Lord says, I've got you here with purpose, but you've got to walk in my ways. You can't think that, well, just because I've called you this, that you can then just do whatever you're going to do. You've got to walk in obedience to my purposes. So he says, look, it's all going to have to be cleared out. Verse 13 again says, though a tenth still be in it, it will again be burned. As a terebinth tree, or as an oak whose stump remains when cut down, so the holy seed will be the stump. Right? He says, look, how long, O Lord, until it's cleared down, till it's down to almost nothing? Even if there's a tenth left, it's got to be burned again. There's going to be a remnant, less than a tenth. Right? There's a remnant less than tenth that, and like a massive tree is now down to a stump. It's going to be like that. But it's going to be a stump. It's not going to be uprooted. God's purposes for Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob God's not done with Israel. Despite Israel's obedience, God's not uprooting and throwing out. His purposes, his promises are unfailing. He will accomplish his purposes through the seed of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. He will do it, right? He says, in this, though it's like a stump, when they're cut down, the holy seed is its stump. There's a holy seed. There's a promise of what is yet to come, right? There's a ray of hope here. Yeah, utter desolation is coming,
But that desolation is not the end. There's going to be offspring holy to the Lord. The Lord's not finished with Israel. You know, this is God's final word. God's final word. Awesome. Sweet cleaner. Yes. God's final word is not judgment. God's final word is hope. God's final word is that there is a hope that's coming. His purposes will prevail. Look, in my life, in our lives, my desire is that I would respond to the ways of the Lord rather than having to be cut down. Do I have to be reduced to a stump for God's purposes to finally occur in my life? Will I humble my heart and hear what the Lord is saying, or am I going to exalt myself and walk in pride and and think I see but I don't understand, and think I hear but I'm not getting it at all? I'm not just saying. Or will I humble my heart and say, Lord, what is it you're calling me to be? What is it you want to produce in me? I don't want to have to get cut down to nothing to finally get to the place where I can become what you need me to be. Lord, may I hear you and respond to you now. May God's purposes be accomplished in me. And like Isaiah, we have to be faithful to speak forth what God has said to speak forth. And our success isn't defined by the response of the people, but by the response of the Lord. Was Isaiah a successful prophet? Well, the people didn't respond to his message, but he was faithful in his message. The Lord knew the people wouldn't. Is God a successful God? Is though we've not responded to him, he is who he is, and he gives us opportunity and graciousness, and he doesn't control us. He calls us to respond to him. He invites us to life. Oh, that we would get it, that we would turn and be healed, that we would become who he's called us to be. And may we speak forth his word. Our desire is to see people respond in obedience and in humility. But more than anything, we want to make him smile. We want him to be happy. We want him to be pleased with our faithfulness. Amen? All right. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make his face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you. May the Lord lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace. Shalom, shalom. Have a beautiful evening.